Woo, we're live. Oh, Mital, how are you? Welcome, everybody. Welcome one more time to Reverse Engineering Conversations. And this time I have the honor, had the blessing, the pleasure to have Mital Patel. How are you, Mital? Welcome to the show.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and I appreciate this opportunity. And I'm actually so excited to be here. Um, and I've been saying that you're making me nervous by saying I'm in the house. So I'm excited actually. Let's for the fun that we're about to have and
Mhm.
for the conversations that we're about to have and how deep we're gonna go into. So let's do this.
How deeper we're gonna go to? We're gonna start first. First, just so everybody knows, Mital and I met, and and the genius. We became, family. We became family when I was part of the moderators, and I learned so much within that process. And when I had the blessing opportunity to participate and be part of the moderators, I think my journey took it a different direction. I think that was for me. That was the beginning of really the awakening. Uh, and for me, from that, I seen you grow, and I seen your path, not just as as a person, but as a parent. And every single advice and every single thing, I really pay close attention, obviously, because I have a daughter. But before we dig into anything, into the deeper conversations, there's a few people that wants to say hi. Anisha, thank you so much for being here. Anisha is here.
I love our fam, our genius fam, for always supporting. Hey, hi Natalia, our fellow
Yes,
Natalia in the house too.
it is
What
true.
is happening?
People is always supporting us, and I think for me, I want to start by telling us who's Midtown. How did you start your journey, and what happened that it make you go into the parenthood coaching? So I guess I'm really interested, intrigued by that part.
Oh, well, hopefully all of us know me. I am just your another fellow co-traveler, human being in this journey. We're all here to evolve,
Mhm.
to get better, to be better version of ourselves, and we all have, we all are born with this purpose of serving,
Yeah.
but it could be different route. I happen to choose it's because I connect more with that. Some people might
Mm.
connect with having a restaurant. You are serving in, health journey and fitness journey as a coach. So my whole connection with the parenthood is very personal because I have experienced um,
Mm.
how lack of connection in parenthood can, you know, um, give the personality to the kids, how our upbringing and the parents' behaviors and the parents' voices becomes kids' voice, and that's what the future becomes. And so that's why the parenthood I chose because I really want to see the healed planet, and I want to see, we all wish to have a better world for our kids, and we all know we can't be with our kids forever. And so if
Mhm.
we want to see our kids thriving, we have to create that environment. We have to give them what we really want them to be. And so I chose to work with parents because I believe parents are that stepping stone who can change, who has the power to change the world, and who has the power to leave that legacy for their kids, because it's everything starts from home. Everything starts
Yeah.
from that seed, or that conceiving part is that seed that I say, and it's all about nurturing that kid, that little human being that we have, because tomorrow she might be the leader of the world. So that's why. And I, my one of my beliefs is that it's always better to build a stronger foundation than to repair in the later run. That's like an adulthood. So, and I have seen with personally witnessed with my husband's journey, with my journey, that it's so hard for us adults to rewire and reprogram our mindset, but it's easy to build that foundation. And so parenthood is that opportunity, that golden opportunity that we get, and we can do so much. So why not take that chance? And that's why I want to work with parents, because most of the time we're so busy maintaining our complex lives that we don't even know what we're doing. We're so unconsciously just operating. We're like a machine, just go on, just going through the whole cycle. And so that's why I want to work with parents to share that awareness and take them on a journey from awareness to competency, where they can be their own entity, and at the same time they can treat their kids as own individual, their personality, and not just transfer or share what the dilemma and pain that they had. So I hope that
Yeah.
explains, like, that's what my whole mission, that I really want every parent to feel connected to their kid, and also become a guide and a guide and a support system to their kids, rather than being a taskmaster or the owner.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is very powerful, and this is beautiful, because I'm gonna break it down, because you touch so many things that me personally, I've been experimenting, and I've been trying to apply in myself, so I can support my daughter better. Right, as everybody knows, I have a daughter. She's about to turn 12, and uh, January 15th. So I'm really excited about that. She's going into a new phase and be having conversations that I never imagined myself was going to have. And I just had 1 2 weeks ago. It was very powerful for me. But you broke it down into building a foundation and having that awareness as a parent, so you can connect. And you mentioned, I want to make sure that we understand we're making connection. You mentioned connection as a building, and then at the same time you touch the detachment, the part
Mhm.
of detachment that you as a parent have to be aware in order for you to not having your kids, based on what you say, not having your kid wanting to be someone that you weren't able to be.
For sure. It's and I do want to share something, because how you said we don't want our kids that what we want them to be. Most of the time, what we do is like, yeah, I want to parent my kid, in the manner that I have never, like, I never got that opportunity with, as a kid. Like, oh yeah, I never got the vacation that I really wanted. I never got chance to
Mhm.
go to Disney with my parents because my dad, or they couldn't take me, or we were in America. So then we wish, as a parent, like, I want to make sure that I take my kids to Disney because I never got to. But do they really want to go to Disney? Or are they looking for attention? Or are they looking for the connection? It's because we're not aware. We think what we didn't get, we want to give it to our kids. And
Mhm.
what the whole parenthood and parenting journey has been become like, we think parenting is about giving the good education,
Mhm.
saving, especially Indian families, like, we think that saving big chunks of money, and, having that cash flow for our kids is a big thing, or buying a house for them is a big thing, or,
Mhm.
giving our kids the branded clothes, or the shoes that they always want, or the games that they want, or
Mhm.
investing all sorts of Lego is what we really need to give. So it's like, we think parenting is about give them what we never had, but it's actually not. It's we all our own individual. We all have our own journey as a soul. We're coming from many births, and now we're here. We don't know what are their needs. We need to see what is the actual need, and not just give what we think they need. Not about
Mhm.
It's not about what we think they need, but it's about what they really need and what they really are asking for. Like, we need to hear that. We need to listen to that subtle, the needs that they're looking for. So I feel that's like a main foundation that we need to have, like, not give them what we think they need, but give them what they really need to evolve as a soul.
Yeah, it is so powerful what you're saying, because for me personally, I can relate a lot, because I thought, like, for example, my daughter doesn't live with me. I had to go and visit her, or sometimes she
Mhm,
will come and visit me.
mhm,
And for certain period of time, I was giving her what, for me, it was what I wanted, that I will
mhm.
think she was gonna be, until I start paying attention the way she will react to it. Like, for example, I will go to the malls to buy her clothes, and I'll say, "Ah, we're gonna go to the malls," and then her behavior will change, and I'll get irritated, because I'm like, because she's I wasn't able to let her express herself, and I will get
Mhm.
frustrated, and I'm like, how can how can I connect with my daughter, and I couldn't find it. But then we will go to the park, and she's the happiest person, and I'm like, bingo. I pay attention to her behavior, and
Yeah.
certain behavior she will tell me without her telling me. I will pay a close attention to her behavior, and I'll be like, oh, this is what you like, this is
Mhm.
what you enjoy. But there are things we needed to do in order that we needed to take care of. So what I learned is, I had to let her know the things that we were gonna do, instead of me just, oh, surprise, this is what we're gonna do,
Yeah.
because that's usually what I used to do. But now I explain to her, this is what we're gonna do, Mariana. We need to do this because X, Y, and Z, and she'll be like, oh, okay, and her behavior will change, and I'm like, this is so crazy. I mean,
It,
I was like, yeah, 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 go
no,
for it.
no. So what I was saying is, it's so important to have open conversations too. Hi, Shweta. Right? It's important to have those open conversations with our kids. If they know what to expect, they would connect with you faster and better.
Yeah,
Because most of the time, like, how you said surprise, we think everybody loves surprises. Not everybody loves surprises. I mean, we personally might know who doesn't like the surprises.
yeah, yeah,
It's not everyone loves the surprises. And I the other thing that I have tried how to, like, to connect deeper with my kids is, I paid attention to the love languages as we learned. We
yeah,
think the love languages is only for partners, or the husband or the wife or the girlfriend or boyfriend.
yeah,
It's not just for that. We need to know what our kids love languages, and that's
yeah,
it gets so easier when you figure out what's your kids. I actually did quizzes with my son, and luckily I found a center nearby, and they actually, so I said, like, oh, do you guys do workshops on love languages? And so funny enough, they're like, oh yeah, we're doing it on next week, or it was like 2 weeks after. I was like, oh, bingo, register me, and I'm gonna take my kid. We went there to find out his love language. He enjoyed the process of finding his own love language, and he was so excited. He was like, oh, mama, my love language is quality time. Now I know that my son enjoys the time and the attention with me, instead of me
yeah,
buying that PS4 game for him.
yeah,
He doesn't need PS4. And I have actually tried and tested. So for his birthday this year, normally we get him what he wants, or okay, what he's looking for or something. This year it was our thing that we're not gonna focus on materials. Rather, we're gonna focus on experiences. And so, and the whole COVID happened. So yeah, the experiences, we couldn't go where we wanted to go. So I said, okay,
mhm,
fine, let's do something different. What do we want to do? And I said, uh, what do you want? And he goes like, if you can take a day off for me. That's all I had to do, just take a day off for him. Because that's his love language. I understood too, like, okay, it's his love language. So I said, okay, mom, I cannot take the whole entire day off, but I can definitely take, like, half day off for you. And he's like, that works great for me. What do you want to
mm,
do? Oh, we just want to play board game together. Hey, that works. Whatever
mm,
works. And that gave us that time to connect deeper, and to have those conversations. Now he knew what to expect, and he knew, and he got what he really wanted and he really needed at that point, just to have those conversations. And I also want to say this, like, while we're talking about, it's not, might not be easy every time. Like today. I was snapping out so badly. Like he was asking, so he has his spiritual workshops, and he had a spiritual workshop, and he had an activity to do, and he was supposed to prepare his ingredients. I didn't know ahead of time. His workshop starts at 1:30, and he's telling me at 1 o'clock. I was like, okay, 1 o'clock, I had something planned for me. And he's telling me at this time, and I was working on something. He was like, Mama, did you prepare my ingredients? I didn't know. You didn't tell me. You didn't clear up with me. So for a second, I was like, really? And then I realized, okay, it's not him, it's me. Right. So
Mhm.
it's not always easy what we say. Like, yes, it's about the awareness, but it's also, we're humans. It's possible for us to just, fall off the wagon. We'll make, what we do, we just come back again. It's not a big deal. I really think that, parenting or conscious parenting, connection parent, it's not about being perfect and getting right all the time, but it's about practicing and evolving.
Mhm.
Just reminding ourselves, okay, I snapped out this time with whatever this behavior pattern happened. How can I remind myself next time not to go into the same rabbit hole? Things like
Mhm.
this are so I don't want anybody to feel like, oh yeah, she's got it. No, I didn't get it. Like, I'm not there 100%. It's about the journey. It's about the process.
Mhm.
I'm not a perfect parent. It's about the practices that we're putting into, and it's about the lessons that we're learning, and then applying it next time. So don't think I'm perfect, and don't think that I am always like, yes, I do say that it's about choosing connection over correction, but sometimes, we might be going through something, and it might just get into that, and it might just affect us, which is okay. Get back and just, remind yourself, what is my why do I want to do what I want to do, or why do I want to, respond in the way that I always want to. Why? So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, choosing connection over correction. That's
Yeah, this is very powerful, and for me, I can relate because it took me a while to find the love languages. When once you start finding all my own love languages, I experienced with my daughter, and I asked her, "How do you feel when you feel love?" And I didn't know how to run the exercise, and I'm like, so start paying attention to her behavior, her
mm,
love languages. I found out her love languages is physical touch and
oh,
words of affirmations. Because with me, when we're together, she doesn't like if we apart, she comes really close to me and she grabs my hand. She will not, like, it doesn't matter what, she will not. And she'll love words of affirmation when I say, like, Mariana, you're doing great. I'm really grateful you're my daughter. I will remind her those little things, and I can see how her facial expressions will change. Oh, I
yeah.
can sense when she's really quiet. She's real quiet. I will ask her, "Is anything you want to talk about it?" And she's like, "No, not right now, Dad." Now she's expressed herself because I built that foundation of letting
Mhm.
her express herself. Sometimes she says things that I'm not happy, but I'm like, I really, really try to calm myself. It's not that easy, like you say, and everybody thinks that we as a coach have everything perfect, and it's like, we're humans too. There's a lot of things. There's many things, especially with kids.
It's crazy that, like how you mentioned that everybody thinks that we as a coach have everything figured out and we're perfect. Not really, because we have so many, like, for example, for me, right? I work full time, so I'm 11 hours. I'm at the house. I start my journey at 7 a.m. and then I get home at 6 p.m. I'm out, and then rest of the day, what I get, I also want to work for, like, towards my passion and my dream, but at the same time, I also want to connect with my kids. So it's like we have so much, and I especially have so much in my plate, and then
Hmm.
it's so easy for me to sometimes just snap out of the zone. But what helped me is, making my son my accountability partner. And it's so, when those little kids remind you that,
Hmm.
oh, are you sure you meant this? It's like, oh, it gets me out of my snap. He is like, so today, and I snapped, and he was like, okay, are you really cranky now? And I said, yes. So, he's reminding me, oh, okay, mama, you're cranky. Is everything okay? Do you need me to give you a space? It's just it makes our journeys easier. And when we say like parenting our kids, it's not about parenting. Word itself also has gotten like a wrong understanding. We all think
Mhm.
parenting is about kids. No, the word itself, parent plus ing, means it's about parents and not about kids. But we all think it's about
Mm.
the kids. That's where we get everything wrong. We're like, oh yeah, it's about my kids. It's about what I give them or what I do with them or where they go. It's not about them. It's about us. It's about us parents and what are we radiating to them. It's all about the energy that we're giving it to our kids. So that's like another reminder that and like how you also ask like, and I do want to mention that about connection over correction, and connect back to why I chose the parenthood niche. You know how they say like, if you want to master something, teach and preach. That I really want to master the skill of connection. So it's like I'm looking, I'm a little selfish there. I want to master this whole skill of connection. And it's just, when you teach someone, you get better and better. When you share with someone your learnings, you get better at with your own understanding and with your own learning.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just keeping your making your kids accountability partner is a big thing. That might hurt your ego a little, and it might actually make you a little more angrier than you would want to be. But it gets better because I've done it.
Yeah.
When initially my son used to remind me like, "Oh, Mama, I don't think you did your meditation today," and I would be like, "How dare you tell me I didn't do my meditation today? I was getting late." And then he would be like, "I understand that you were late. Maybe you can do now because you seem to be a little crankier on the side." So I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, snap." He just told me that I didn't meditate, so he could sense my energy and he could feel what I'm giving it to him. I need to calm down. I need to ground myself. I need to come back to the center. And so yeah, it's about making them accountability partners. Hi,
Mhm.
Nisha.
Yeah, and this everything is just like, at least for me. Well, from my own personal experience, I can connect with so much with the things that you're saying and the things that you're sharing with us, which are very, very powerful. But now I want to talk about, like, I want to shift that a little bit. Yeah, when you're a parent, what what tips, I wouldn't say advice, what tips can you give to a parent that obviously hasn't experienced those things, like finding out the love languages? And what tips can you give to that parent that feels that doesn't have that connection and that is really hard to make that connection with their kids? What are the tips, the first steps, baby steps that they can take in order for them to go into that direction, and they can start just like, obviously it's parenthood, you got to take it serious, but at
Mm-hmm.
the same time it's just like, we're humans,
For sure, for sure.
so.
And parenthood is not easy. None of the parents ever said that this is an easy journey either. One of the practice, so like how I mentioned, it's about us, it's about me, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's so hard to accept that because our ego is so big, and it doesn't let us accept that it's about me and not about my parents, my kids. Like most of the time we think it's their behaviors that which triggered me.
Hmm.
It's where that comes. But one of the practical tips that we can start from the basic level is, yeah, we've all heard doing having the discipline, having the routine, or doing this or that. But sometimes it's so hard to do these things because the ego is not letting us accept it, and we're
Yeah.
not ready to do the hard work. We're not ready to peel the onions, because what happens when you peel the onion? You cry.
Hmm.
That's what happens
Hmm.
when we're trying to peel the layers. It's hard. The tears
Hmm.
are shedding, and you feel like, oh, this is it. This is so hard, and you want to give up, and you want to give in, and you don't want to do it. So one of the practical things, when I started 3 years ago, I like to relate everything to the moment that's right in front of me. So for example, and I like to give examples. So for example, you know how we snap at our kids and we say no for everything. I like to remind myself that, let's say, for example, I went to work. First thing, I walked into the door, and I'm saying good morning to my boss, and my boss is in a bad mood, and he goes like, no. Like, you just hear no, even though you're just saying good morning and he doesn't want to say anything, he's saying no. And then you're like, okay, I don't know what crap he's into. Like, I don't know if he had a rough night or a rough morning and he's getting here. You start thinking about it. And then the second thing happens is like, for example, you go to your boss, like, okay, yeah, we need to discuss this. And the boss is like really angry. He goes like, no. How does that make you feel? Just ask that. How does that make us feel when the boss is always yelling at us, and the boss is always criticizing us for every little thing that we're doing? How does that make us feel? Similarly, when we are doing this to our kids, when we're being their taskmasters, that's how they're feeling. So connecting on a feeling level is the first thing that I like to go. So whenever I say something to my son, I like to put myself in his shoes. What is he feeling now that I just said this no to him? Like, that's the first thing, that we need to be aware of each other's feelings. The
Mhm.
second thing that I did, how we hear, and Jay always taught us, like, do one thing at a time. Multitasking is not.
Yeah.
And we all think that this all just applies with, like, at work, or just, maybe I mean, people like me who connects with, like, okay, if I'm cooking, I cannot cook four dishes at the same time. Then I might forget salt in something and sugar in something. I can't do four things cooking at the same time. And so
Mhm.
maximum level, you go to that level. But do you ever pull that up? Like, okay, my kid is trying to tell me what happened with him at school, but at the same time, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. I'm focused on cooking, but he's trying to talk to me. It's not happening. That connection is not building. That's another thing that I started doing. So if he wants to have a conversation, I'm like, okay, can you give me 5 minutes and let me just finish what I'm doing, and then we can sit and talk. That's the do one thing at a time. That's
Mm.
being present. This is where we can apply in our parenthood. And I also understand we don't have time. We all have not we don't have that much time. To be honest, our kids only need 20 minutes a day. Because that's their attention span anyways. If you give them 15 to 20 minutes at a time during the
Mhm.
daytime, that's all they need. My kids only get 20 minutes with me, one on one. That's it. And after that, yeah, if they're talking and stuff like that. But that do one thing at a time, I do focus at 20 minutes with them, and that solves the entire day. The next day, it charges them. That's the
Mhm.
second thing that I've done. And so first thing is, like, before we say something, or even right away after you say something, imagine what are they feeling now, like, how are they, so connect with their feelings.
Mhm.
Second thing is, do one thing at a time. So give them that 15 to 20 minutes of attention, with you being present, nothing else. They don't need no games, they don't need no screens.
Yeah.
It's just you and them. Just ask them, how are they really feeling? How did You don't have to say, did you do your meditation? I ask, oh, by the way, how you seem very calm today. It seems like your meditation was great today. So ask them like open-ended question, and when you ask that kind of question, then they'll be like, yeah, and then they start sharing that experience. And the
Mhm.
third thing that I do is bless them. Bless them for entire day, because we, like, Indian culture, right? From coming from an Indian culture, our parents used to take us to, like, oh, let me take you to this teacher or this priest or this temple, because I need to get my kids blessings. A mother or a father, like, in the parents have, our words are the biggest blessing that can or we can give it to our kids. So our words can create their world. So we need to be careful of what we're saying, and it has to be aligned. There's so many tips I can just keep on giving and giving, but there's so many things.
Yeah.
So if I'm saying to my son, oh wow, you've done a wonderful job, even though he had a 76%, and if I'm saying, you did a wonderful job in your test, but in my head, I'm saying, oh my gosh, how is he going to pull up this year? I'm conflicting my energy. I'm sending
Mhm.
two different energies, and that's like, that's not a blessing. You're not connecting there. You're really sending a mixed vibration, so the kids are not absorbing what you're really sending them, and they're confused. What did she really mean? And I'm talking about soul level. The soul level is
Mhm.
confused. What is she giving me? Like, as a mother, what is she giving me? I'm not getting what she's getting, and so the soul is not ready to accept your mixed energy. So blessing our kids, giving the energy that we really, the positive energy that we really want them to thrive. These are three basic things that I do on a daily basis, and it works. So,
Wow, this is very powerful because you touch so many things and so many things that I can relate as a parent and when I was a kid. You mentioned the word no. I grew up, and oftentimes I joke around and I tell people I grew up with the word no as a norm. Now I know how it feels.
mhm,
And it wasn't the normal no. It was no and blast, it will get big. And that's how I grew up. But I learned that there are better ways to communicate with my daughter. And I found myself sometimes saying no to my daughter, and I'll be like, that didn't feel right. And so now what I do, if there's a no, I explain to her. Giving her the explanation, at least for me, gives me an open door, or leaves an open door for her to understand and comprehend where I'm coming from. Because if I don't communicate with her, and we're talking about that connection, if I don't communicate how I really feel, and we're
mhm,
talking about feelings, connecting in that level, for me is really important because I often ask her, instead of how are you, Mariana, I say, how do you feel, Mariana? Yeah, no, I feel okay. Well, yeah, why is that? And then she'll start open up. For me, in having conversations with her, those are very powerful. The other thing that you mentioned too, it is you giving the full attention and the single tasking. I already, I remember 2 years ago when I told Mariana about the single tasking. That it's really hard to multitask, and only 2% people, based on science, it's only 2% can multitask. So
yeah.
I spoke to her about the importance of just doing one thing at a time. And I said, how do you do one thing at a time, Mariana? Just like by just concentrating. What is concentration, Mariana? Doing one thing at a time. So sometimes, because she's trying to do many things, what you were doing, I was doing this and this. I'm like, oh, what do you need to do? I needed to concentrate. So that you concentrate? No, I wasn't. I'm like, I was, and she said, I was dropping tasking. And I was like, what,
Mhm.
dropping tasking? I'm like, I never, I'm like, that is so
Yeah.
crazy how she's able to articulate in a different way and take it to a different level. I'm like, dropping tasking. I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm like, that's awesome. That's a good job.
Our kids are so close to our true being, our true nature. So
Hmm.
they have like so much that we can learn from them, and have these
Hmm.
labs, and because they're sharing what they're really feeling. Where we, when as an adult, as a parent, when you share something how you're feeling, it's it's manipulative, because it's all contaminated now with and it's all influenced by our surrounding, what we're reading, listening, what we're watching, what we're like, other people's opinion. Everything is like filtered and went inside, and now everything just makes a mixed juice or dip, and then it just spreads the dip everywhere. I feel it's just, we're just, and then when it comes out, it just comes out and with all this contamination, I call it, because everything's contaminated as an adult. But when as a kid, the children's are so true to our true nature, true pure being, so they
Hmm.
can say what they really feel. So
Yeah.
how, like, we all know that parents complain, oh, my kid just slammed the door on us, because that's how he's or she's feeling. What are you
Hmm.
giving it to them? That's what they're absorbing. So if we're giving them the energy of annoyance and irritations, that's what they're going to absorb. They are, just because they're so true to their nature, they absorb very quickly too. And that's what makes our identity, and that's who we are, because we absorbed our parents' energy, our teachers' energy, our peers' energy throughout our life, and now everything's just so contaminated and manipulated. So that's what we're giving out, and now we're passing that to on our kids. But we
Hmm.
really need to, that's why we need to be aware of what we're doing in order for us to cut the cords and not pass that those wounds and those patterns and behaviors to our kids, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Before we get into Sweta, 'cause Sweta wants to talk wants you to hear to talk about Ayurveda, and which is I think is great. But this is true what you just said. It's that we passing on the wounds,
Mm-hmm.
and I just spoke like there's a lot of things that I experienced as a kid, but I learned that there are better ways, and I know how that feels, right? And oftentimes, I as a parent, I can relate a lot because I start healing my inner child, and I often say like you have to start healing your inner child so you can connect a lot more in a deeper level with your kid.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you had to start healing that inner self so you can connect it. And me personally, I try to go very often, especially now with the mentorship that we getting. I'm trying to go as deep as I want. I never been able, and having conversations, I can tell how the conversations with my daughter are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm like, wow, the more I heal myself, the more connected I feel with my daughter, and I'm able to have conversations that I never experienced in my life. I never had with my parents as a kid. Yeah, So for me, it's like wow. So it gave me back that I'm like I had to keep healing myself. I
Mm.
had to keep healing myself.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I have a personal testimony with my husband that, because him being an immigrant and him being going, been through a lot and lack of connection in his childhood. When I started doing this whole inner work, like, because I didn't even know what I really wanted. So blessed that I didn't have that much wounds from my childhood, and I didn't need. I had a beautiful childhood. Nothing that lack of connection. I've had a best connection with my parents, and the way I was raised. I am so blessed the way I was raised. And but when we were going through my husband's journey, that was the first thing that we talked about is we really need to heal our inner child. We need to reparent ourselves first before we parent our kids, right? And that's why we have to be the change. We have to do all.
Mm.
That's why it's like, how Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to,
Yeah.
you to see the change." It, and that's why the parenting is all about us. It's just here, and then whatever comes out is what goes to our kids. So when you take care of yourself, when you take care of your desires, your dreams, your wishes and wants and patterns and negative patterns and when you take care of that, that's when the real, the enjoyment and the calming journey and the evolving journey goes through with your kids. And parent, like, in this whole childhood, like the parent and a child relationship, it's not about just us just healing our inner child, or it's not about just us passing on to the tools and
Mhm.
stuff to our kids, but it's about both of us growing together. It's about
Yeah.
our journey. So as a parent and a child, it's our journey, and we both have to go, in a parallel. If you cross it, and if you come into each other's space, that's when the clashes happen. But we need
Hmm.
to understand we're our own individual, we have our own individuality, and we just go on a road and we evolve together. And when we focus there, that's when we thrive. So,
Yeah, this is really it's mind blowing. I mean, at least for myself, I'm learning so much as you speak because I can connect with so many things. You mentioned right now that the more you heal yourself, we can connect with our kids. But at the same time, you had to. It's a relationship,
mhm.
right? It's a relationship, and a relationship. If you want it to work, I had to work on myself, and she has to work on herself.
Sure.
Yeah, I had to be I can be the guide and support, but I still had to let her explore. And I said that's when the detachment for me and attachment came into place because for me
Mhm.
it's like at the end of the day she's just my daughter. I'm not the owner. And as a parent, I grew up with my parents were the owners of me,
Mhm.
and for me it's like I'm not the owner. And for me I it was hard, and it's still hard at times, but I keep reminding myself like I'm not the owner of my daughter. I'm not
Mhm.
she's not I'm not she's part of me, but she's gonna experience her own world. She's
Yeah.
gonna fall. She's gonna cry. It's gonna hurt for me to see her when
Yep.
somebody breaks her car. It's gonna be very challenging. But how I keep asking myself the question: how can I be the support so she can lean on me
Yeah.
to 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 have that experience,
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I feel that that's when, at least from many parents that I come across, that's where the misconnection happens.
Mm-hmm.
That they want their kids to succeed so bad, they put that pressure unconsciously, and then the kids is like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's because we really we're we're unconscious ourselves, sometimes.
Hmm.
And again, actually, I wouldn't say that either, and I wouldn't say, like, let's be conscious, because we're all conscious also at
Yeah,
level. It's about raising our consciousness. It's
there you
not about being conscious, because if you're not conscious, then you're dead. Sorry to say that, but
go.
it's we're all conscious. It's just we need to raise our consciousness to that level, for our betterment of our kids, our journeys together. But yeah, it's just we don't know what we're doing, first of all. And so these are some of the basic thing in parenting is, first of all, understand the parenting is about me as a parent, me as a mother, or you as a father. It's about us. And the second thing is, we gotta be their guide and support
Yeah,
system, and not be their taskmaster or owners. That's and once we realize that, that's the whole thing. Okay, now he okay, the kid fell, fine, he knows how to get up, he'll get up. And if he
yeah.
needs help, you just be there. You don't have to, like, oh, here, grab my hand. We don't have to do that. If he needs it, he'll ask for it. Let them ask, because if they don't ask, they're not going to receive it. We all know, ask, believe, receive. So if
Hmm.
they don't learn the skill of asking, then they're not gonna get what they
Yeah,
want, right?
yeah.
Um, but I wanted to mention that one point, but I actually forgot while I'm talking. Sometimes I get these things.
That's okay. It's okay. No, I think this is really awesome, and I gonna go back to what Sweta point out. That can you talk about how you implementing your whole entire experience in Ayurveda with all these parenthoods? Because I think it's really important. I think it's really important for me. It's mind blowing. For example, yesterday we finally were able to go over my whole entire test, and
Yeah.
you connected so much. I knew it was. I'm like, oh, I wasn't that lost. Like, cause after we hang up, I was
Uh-huh.
like, man, I wasn't that lost. I was getting closer, but you gave me so many. You connected so many things for me that I'm
Mhm.
like, today, I'm like, I'm changing this and completely. Like, I'm that type of person. Once I put something in my mind, I'm like, there's no back. I
Yep.
gotta go in that direction.
Go all in.
So I want to talk about that because I think it's really important that everybody knows how are you connecting both or
Mhm.
may both intertwine, I
Yeah,
should say.
totally. So the way I take Ayurveda in my coaching is because I learned this tool of assessing someone from their elements. So we all have like 5 elements in our system, right? Whatever the dirt is made up of, the same elements resides in us. So earth, water, fire, air, and space, ether, slash. So we're all made up of these elements, and I like to assess someone. So when I work with a client, I assess their element. Okay, so if I'm working with Omar, I know his element is fire. So now I know how to take my client on the journey, because I know his dominant power is fire. So if I talk to him in a loving, kind language, we're not going to be able to connect, and I won't be able to give the result that he's looking for. But I know that you are fire. I know I can push you, and I know what level I can challenge you towards.
Mhm.
And so I would be able to challenge you in that way and to get you better results. For example, Anisha is in the house, right? I like to actually the other day too. We talked about, so Anisha has an earthy element. So, but if I push Anisha to do something, it's not gonna work with her. She won't be able to get the result that she's looking for. I will have to
Mm.
send the soothing energy to her. Same with our kids. So this was my coaching, right? But with my kids, So I know my older one is a kapha vata. So I know what his elements are. I know that he is more like calming, the kindness. He likes one-on-one better. Those are the earth is his element. He's more grounding. And my little one is like me. He's enthusiastic,
Giddy.
running around, he's energy. So I know that I have to push him in that manner. So if I sit with him and if I tell him something kindly, it doesn't register with him. So if I say,
Nope.
"Oh, Anna, can we talk?" and he goes like, "Why?" Right? That's his result comes why. So I have to say, "Oh, Mama has to talk to you. Can we talk?" So then he sits. They're like, "Okay, yeah, Mama needs to talk to me. Let me give her attention." Even though he's 3, he understands the two languages. So it's like it's easier for me to connect with my kids. I know what would like food wise or the lifestyle wise what works better for my kids. So that's why like I when I started learning about 2 years ago, so fascinating. Now I know what food is suitable for my older one and what food is suitable for my little one. Because if I,
Mhm.
for example, if I give the the sweet breakfast to my older one and little one, both the same thing. I know how my older one's gonna feel by the lunchtime and what my little one's gonna feel by the lunchtime. So it's like it's so easy when the Ayurveda is easy for me to connect with my kids on a better level to understand, because it's an external support system for me to connect with my kids and I can heal them naturally. So my older one was diagnosed with asthma and allergies when he was 3. Up until
Mm.
2 years ago, we every year at least 3 to 4 asthmatic attacks he would get, and it doesn't matter how much you try, he would bring it from school. I would have to give him steroids. He was on steroid for like since he was 3 till he was like 7. Always.
Wow.
It was all year around that he needs his steroids and his albuterol. When I came across Ayurveda, I understood what are the trigger points. How can I change his food habits and how can I get him on a better path? For past year and
Mhm.
a half, he hasn't had single dose of steroids at all.
Oh.
Just from doing the natural stuff, like his watching his food habits, giving him the herbs that he needs, the essential oils, things like that. I've experimented a good number of time with my kids. So yeah, like even from a wellness perspective, it's so helpful. And the other thing is from doshas and from knowing their element, I know what they would connect. So like as a parent, we would be like, you know what, he really needs to join the drama club, he really needs to join the art club, he really needs to do this. So we all like, oh yeah, they're bored, I don't want them to watch TV. So then we introduce all these different activities, but then we don't understand, are they really going to connect with that? Is that really for them?
Mhm.
So my older one, initially when he was 5 year old, right, I was like,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I want to do soccer. I was like, yeah, okay, do soccer. But I knew that he's not gonna connect with soccer. I knew
Yeah.
because his dosha is kapha. He's not an
Mhm.
athletic person. So the characteristics, his personality is not athletic. So he's not gonna connect. I did allow him to experience, but I found that, oh yeah, he's not gonna work with it. So then I knew, what would he go with? Arts. Let me introduce arts to him. He loves arts and his arts and craft club. So Ayurveda gave me those lens to find out what my kids' personality, like they're born with, and nurture that instead of forcing the other stuff that they're not meant to connect or they would never enjoy. So like
Mhm.
because this is what I wanted to say earlier too. Like we about like facilitating the environment to our kids. So Ayurveda helps me a lot in order for me to facilitate that environment to nurture my kids instead of
Mhm.
forcing the growth on them. So my older
Mm.
one started doing meditation when he was 5, and he was meditating. But last year something happened, or I think it was beginning of the yeah, last year, that he doesn't enjoy it anymore, and he would not connect, and he wouldn't like it. So I was like, okay, take it, it's fine, whatever works for you. But I knew that he's going through some imbalances. That's why he's not able to connect. Now he meditates on his own. I don't have to say anything. We have negotiation, like, whole negotiable policies and rules and regulations in my house. So they know, like, okay, this now it's my time to connect deeper. So that's what Ayurveda does. to, like, and that's what it did to me. I can connect on a better with my kids because it's like a support system for me from a holistic perspective. I don't have to just look at, if he has a bellyache, I don't have to look at just bellyache. Why is that bellyache? It could be because this. So it could
Yeah.
be he's having an imbalance.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you. This is very powerful, at least for me, because you we did it together yesterday, and for me, it was mind blowing. The things that I've been experiencing myself,
Mhm.
and just trying to find more and playing around. Obviously, I've been in this journey on weight loss for 10 years, and
Right.
people's like, "What are you trying to do?" And for me, I've been experimenting with so much. But yesterday, you actually connect so many things. You made me go back to my experience. I'm like, this is the reason why. And another thing you mentioned, for example, how can you connect to people's strengths, to your kids' strengths, learning their strengths? You
Yeah.
say that in between the lines. For me, I remember once upon a time I had a conversation with my daughter. And I say, what do you like to do? I really love science. She will say, I love science. So I'm like, I'm gonna share with you science. So when we go to museums of science, or she'll be like a little, like jumping all over the place. She's really happy. I will take her to a different that I like. She'll shut down.
Mm,
And funny thing is that her grades when it comes down to science, she always gets an A plus. It doesn't matter what. She
yeah.
will get an A plus. And for
It's
me, I'm like,
Yeah, no, I mean, Jay always says that too, right?
yeah,
Invest in your strengths and
my
not
strength.
weaknesses, and
Hmm.
that's where the whole thing is coming. Like, and so that's what I read. Okay, now I know what my kids' strengths, like their natural tendencies are. Okay, he is a Vata, and I know that he's more creative, more arty. Like it's all about arts and science and all that fun stuff for him. Let me invest in that and let me facilitate that environment to him. That way he can thrive better. Instead of me
Hmm.
telling him, you know what, you're not good at. I mean, he's good at everything. We all say that, right? Our kids are good at everything, but he's not good at writing, so I don't force him. He doesn't
Hmm.
yeah, he's passing. Okay, good. It's enough. He can write the things that he really needs to have a conversation. Fine. I'm not forcing. He loves to read. So okay, so read. So that's what the whole thing is about. Let's focus on their strengths and not
Yeah,
getting so low in English. Oh, I need to focus on. No. Give them, because that also boosts their confidence, right? And it's all about,
yeah.
once they get confidence, they know that they can do anything and everything when it comes
Hmm.
to in life too, and it would not hold them back from surviving, even if you're
Yeah.
not around.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. Just like Nisha says, love how you're using Ayurveda to connect better with your kids. So fascinating. Wish I knew when my kids were young. Yeah,
Well,
we
it's
all
so
wish there's
true.
so many things, right?
Yeah, we wish so many things, right? But that's another thing too. I like to remind, because it's funny. Like, my older one is 10. For past 2-3 years, things are getting, like, on a path that I really am looking to going towards. I get this guilty, like, oh, I wish I knew this with my older one. But I learned my lesson. I did what I knew back then. I learned what I needed better.
Mhm.
Now I'm gonna focus on what I learned better, and I'm gonna focus on going towards, right, going forward. So with my little one, I make sure that I apply all my learnings, and I do that with him. But sometimes that guilt does come in with, oh, I wish I didn't do this with my older one, or I wish me and my husband were not fighting when my kid was around. I wish we didn't do that. We get this guilt, but it's so important for us to make the peace with what we didn't know and then move forward. And so, yeah, in a funny way, I say that, but at the same time, I remind myself, like, okay, I did what I knew back then, and I can do much better with the
Yeah.
knowledge and the practices that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, and I think it's really important you touch on that topic because for me, when talking about my past and in
Mhm.
my childhood, I understood. My parents did the best they could with the tools that they have at that time. For me to make that peace and forgiveness, it was being crucial, at least for me, to for my own path. And how
Mhm.
can I meant. But now I know better, so I can do better with my daughter.
Yeah.
And for me, it's fascinating, obviously, because I dream about having a daughter. I dream about her name. I dream the whole entire thing. Even before she was born, even before her mom, I dream about the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
people, one of the things that people ask me, and you probably gonna relate because you have two boys. I have a daughter. People is like, don't you wish you had a boy? I'm like, no, actually,
I still get
no.
that. I still get that. Like, don't you wish you had a girl? Like, it's maybe the third one a girl. I'm happy with my two boys. It's I
Hmm.
don't I don't. At the end of the day, it's not about the gender. It's about that connection, that soul. And I do want to point that out. That point that because we talked about detachment, we talked about the gender and the age, and being the higher,
Hmm.
us parents being older, so we're higher up level. The whole raising consciousness, and being that parent, for the perfect parent or confident parent for your kids,
Hmm.
doesn't happen instantly or over.
Hmm.
It takes so much hard work and so much practice. And in order for us to do that, we have to go. There are four stages that I always say to myself, that we have to go from role consciousness to body consciousness to mind consciousness to soul consciousness. It's when you do that transition, it gets easier. We just need to understand that, okay, because most of the time we're so unconscious that we only connect ourselves like, oh yeah, I am Mital, or I am a mother, or I am, or I'm a daughter. We're so fixated with our roles that we're playing, and we don't know anything else. Like, what's our real identity? So when you go from, okay, being a parent, to, let me come into my body, let me take charge of control of this self here. That's the body consciousness. Then we go onto our mind consciousness. What's here? Am I saying what's here? Am I really speaking
Yeah.
what I really am thinking? So then you take control of your mind. Then you take control of the soul. Okay, me as a soul, my kid as a soul, we're on a journey. Let's do this together. So I just wanted to, before I forget, I really wanted to say that beginning of the show, but I forgot. That was my because it helped me a lot to
Yeah.
to come to the space where I am right now. And I feel if everybody just gets that route, things would be so much easier for you, and it would just take that pace that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think it's very powerful that you mentioned it, the way, like, the four phases that we all have, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, I've been experiencing it, and obviously at my own pace and my own time, and I'm trying to experience it with the situations that we are living, right? And just like Natalia says, it's so interesting to learn about the type of connection you're using with our Ayurveda, which is, I think it's very, very fascinating. You made me think outside the box, because now I really, really, when I think about it, because yesterday after we hang up the call, I'm like, everything makes sense so much. It's like me putting it's like me putting the movie scene in front of me. I'm like, what I've been doing with my daughter. So now you understand some of the behaviors that my daughter were having with certain foods. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you gotta eat more vegetables, you gotta eat more of this, you gotta eat this. I'm like, did I really wanted her to eat? I'm like, I wasn't giving her the option. I wasn't allowing her to be herself. So for me, it's like, I'm like, trust me, like, my mind, when I get to that level, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be powerful. And yesterday I had an amazing conversation with her on regards of just connecting. And for me, we spoke like almost like an hour, and
Mm-hmm.
she's fine, and she's like, having the greatest time of her life. It's really, she's with her brother, so it's a different story. And just,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very interesting, the whole entire parenthood and how you're connecting. I think it's brilliant, the fact that you're using the tools that you have and that you've been using on
Mm-hmm.
your own,
Yeah,
and how.
I have always been that person that, like, how we're just so curious. I like, because as a scientist, I like to put everything and experiment, put it into practice right away. Is it really working? It's not working. Let me change one variable. What can I do next? Is it giving the result that I'm looking for? Not giving the result. Okay, let me change another variable. Let me check the robustness of this whole thing. I like to bring the science in here, the holistic wellness in here, and be consciousness in here and make a whole blend and then just go with the life, right? It's
Hmm.
so important because we also get so fixed with learning so much and not utilizing it and not putting into the practice. That's where the things get lost. Yes, we learn it, but if we don't practice it right away, it's gonna evaporate. Like how I mentioned yesterday, the idea, if you don't put it in that transformation phase, it's gonna evaporate and it's gonna, go to a different person's mind. The universe is
Yeah.
like, okay, you're not utilizing this idea that I gave you. Guess what? I'm gonna give it to somebody else who can
Hmm.
put it into practice right away. So it's
Yeah.
also about that putting into practice. So that's like a first thing that I do with my clients. Like, are you gonna put this into action? I'm a go-getter myself, and I like to just
Yeah.
do it right away. Like, I cannot wait. That's like, I'm just so enthusiastic to put that into practice. And so I feel that would also help. We learn whatever we learn. It's not limited just to, like, work life or just your personal life or home life, but it's also into the and whatever we learn about relationships, it's not about just limited to having that relationship with your partner, your husband, boyfriend, but it's also with a relationship with your kids or relationship with a friend. So it's just that
Yeah.
overall picture. So yeah, I hope everybody, like, is able to practice what they learn.
No, and thank you so much. No, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. Everything, every single phase that you touch, every single topic that you touch, from going from just the whole entire parenthood into how you using the tools that you have to create a huge impact.
Mhm.
Now, is there, before we go, it's been so fast. I looked at the time. I'm like, oh man, we've been here talking for this. Well, exactly. We've been talking. We're having a good time, and I'm really happy to see that a lot of people is getting so much out of it now.
Yeah.
Is there, before we go, is there anything you would like to add that I haven't been able to touch? Anything that you want to share with the whole entire audience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get get that picture clear in your mind with, in regards to your family life. What do you really want? What's that really what is that really that you're looking for? The feeling for your family, or that feel, the what exactly the picture. Create that picture first. Do I really want to have that, that one-on-one time with my kid? Or am I really looking my kid to be a scientist? Am I really looking to be my kid to, and if you are looking them to be something, then be that first. That's how so be what you want your kids to be. So first you have to be that in order for you to transfer, share on, pass on to your kids. And the second thing is practice. Just do it. We gotta practice what we learn and not just sit with the reading. So if, for example, read the Think Like a Monk, right? I'm sure everybody read it already. What are we practicing from there? Did we practice anything, or did we just read it? That's like my number one thing that I really want everybody to do, is like, do that one thing every day. Like Jay always tells us, right? Learn and practice. We have to put it in experiment. We have to experiment. So experiment
Mhm.
like a scientist. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mitel. I learned a couple of things. Actually, I learned a lot because my mind is blowing right now, because I'm like, oh, this is the, like, I can totally picture. But now, like, can you share with us, where can people find you? How can people connect with you, or where do they find you so they can continue? Obviously, you share so much in social media, and for me, it's like, I always tell people, I'm like, man, when somebody's offering you something, just go and take it. Just go and take it, because it's an opportunity for you to learn and talk to that person. So where can people find you? How can people connect with you?
So right now, my website is still building. It's www.risewithmital.com. You can, any queries, questions, just email me at info@risewithmital.com. I am very active on my Instagram at Rise with Mital. You can find with the same on Facebook too. I also actually just um, November 7th is my first day that my group coaching is launching. And so, if anything resonated with you, I am there to take you from where you are to where you really want to go in 4 weeks. And I guarantee my results because I bring the Ayurvedic holisticness, the whole holistic knowledge and the coaching tools that I learned from Jay. And I blend it and I bring my personal parenting experience and my nature of being a scientist, right? So I bring and I blend everything, and I'm bringing everything on my 4 weeks of group coaching. So if you want more information on that, the link is in um, my Instagram, and you can just book your free discovery call too if you want to find out more about it. So that's where you can find me. I'm all over the place, actually. If you want to find me, I'm there, right there.
No, thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom, so much. You dropped some wisdom bombs, and I always tell people, I'm like, man, this is the place where you're gonna find it, and people is gonna blow your mind. And I'm really, me personally, I'm really grateful to connect with you and have you as a person that I'm always trying to learn from. And I really enjoy. Just want to say that I really enjoy when you share stories with your kids. Because for me, like it's fascinating to see your little one. He reminds me of myself because I used to
Yeah,
be like, man, I used to be like just like that, and
yeah.
now like my daughters too, and now that I'm able to do certain things, when I know remind myself like being a at this type of age and being able to do certain things with my daughter. I don't recommend it to you. I'll be honest with you, 'cause some of the
Mhm.
crazy things that I do, like going into up with the trees, but I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it. I'm
yeah.
like another little kid, but I want to say that you have an amazing family. You have some beautiful kids, and I really, 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 it's admirable the way you're raising your kids and the way you letting them grow at their own pace and
Mm-hmm.
just be themselves.
Yep.
And it's just really remarkable. So thank you so much for sharing all that wisdom and all that experiences with
Yeah, no, and
every single one who was.
thank you. I do. I actually forgot one thing that I just started a movement that I really want to help one parent every day. And so every Sunday I go live on my IGTV at 11 a.m. and I will be taking parents on a journey. So it will be like a short live, and I share one educational um, concept, and then I take the questions that parents have, and the third I give everyone a growth work. Yes, I give some homework during my live, and then time when you come, I'm gonna ask, did you really do this? And so that happens every Sunday. So if you wanna hop on, my IG every Sunday at 11 a.m., you will gain a lot from there.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You have the whole entire family over here, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. It's been a
Thank
pleasure
you. Yeah,
having
no,
you.
no,
We want to have you in the future.
sure. And likewise, thank you for doing this. Thank you for, giving us the platform, the opportunity for, for us to share the work that we do. Because most of the time we are like, yes, we know it, but it just stays here. We're not able to share. It's like we're waiting for the opportunity. And you really like created that space, and you are actually asking, hey, I have this. Do you want to do this? Let's do it together. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you that you're taking that one step ahead of us, and you're dragging us along with us. So thank you, and thank you everyone for showing up. And I hope we were able to provide the value that you're looking for.
No, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Next Saturday, I have someone really, really special, and it's gonna blow your mind too. It's another student from the J Shetty School, and we're gonna bring you more and more people. So thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for support, for the love. Thank you, Mita. We'll see you next time.
See ya.